Good morning, everybody. I'm Wendy Frederigill with Empowered Life, and today I am in Clearwater, Florida with Pamela Bennett. But
Good morning.
actually, I'm not. I'm pretending. That's why I have a sweatshirt on. I'm actually in the middle of Iowa in a rain/ice crap. So I'd rather be here with you in Florida. So here we are.
Here we are. Thanks for having me.
Hello. So Pam and I met through Health Coach Institute. We started in October of 2017, but I don't think we actually really started talking till, what did we decide, May?
Well, we met each other at the live event in April of
Yes.
18, and then we started conversing via Facebook in May.
Yeah. So how are things for you down there in this quarantine corona world? How are things in Florida?
Well, as everyone knows, the numbers are rising, right? People are a little bit panicky. You can definitely feel the tension in the air. I was at the grocery store a couple weeks ago, and everybody was acting fine, but it was like I started feeling anxiety, and I'm not prone to anxiety. And I'm like, what is happening? And I realized, I'm just picking up on everybody's energy. So I really had to kind of settle into that and do some breathing exercises and just kind of refocus myself. That people are in a time that they don't understand. None of us understand or what's coming next, right? So I feel like there's a lot of fear and anxiety in the atmosphere.
I agree. I've noticed that too. I've had days where I'm like, okay, is this mine or am I feeling the collective anxiousness?
Yeah, exactly. How
Yeah.
is it out there for you?
They announced yesterday here in Iowa that like salons and certain businesses are staying closed through the end of the month. And I wasn't surprised by it, but when you get the actual word, you're like, oh, man. So I woke up with this feeling of, I feel like in the last few weeks I've been trying to be positive and stay, active and try to support people. So I realized I felt like I've been running in a sprint.
Mm.
And then I found out that, wait a minute, you're not in a sprint, you're in a marathon. And
Yeah.
it just kind of took the wind out of my lungs a little bit. So having to step back and really take this opportunity to slow down a little bit, but I think that's where I'm kind of in between finding that pace, that
Yeah.
runner's pace.
So I'm curious, when you had the sprint mentality and then all of a sudden you were like, wow, this is a marathon. Like, what was coming up for you when that happened?
Oh gosh, I was like, can I even run a marathon? Like how I think that's what's scary. We can't even say it's a marathon and it's this many miles. We don't know. I'd
Yeah.
say that's probably the biggest fear I think that everyone's feeling is we don't know. This has never happened. So we can't say this is the day that everyone will be back in business. We don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that about the sprint and the marathon, right? Because some of us have been sprinting. Like I've seen that that's the energy that we've been feeling is that kind of let's go, let's get everything done. And now everybody's like, now what? Now what do we do? So when we're thinking about, it kind of reminded me of when I used to run track, right? And I actually was a sprinter and I hated to run, believe it or not, but I was a sprinter. And, I would watch the long distance runners and they just keep this nice steady pace, like the whole practice. And, sprint as a sprinter, I would sprint and then I would walk, so for track practice, my practice looked very different than the long distance runner, who's just steady at it. So I'm curious, when people are thinking about this experience that they're having, can we be okay with what it looks like for us? Whether you've done the sprint and now you're settling into this more relaxed pace, or maybe you haven't been involved at all. Some people I think have been sort of in the denial phase, this isn't really happening, but to just know that we're in for the long haul, whatever that looks like. And I think that's where a lot of the fear comes in and just being okay in that place, you know.
Yes. Like
And
what's the new normal going to be?
yeah. Yeah. And can it be okay? And
Yeah.
what's the reframe on that? What's the positiveness that's coming from it? I mean, I've done a lot of posting on Facebook asking that question, like, what's the good? What's the gift? The dad who's in his 30s who's playing with his 2 and 4-year-old in a cardboard box in midweek. yeah, when's the last time that happened? I mean, he didn't choose that. And I'm sure it's creating some other financial dynamic possibly for him. But since we can't, there's things we can't control, right? So focusing on what can we control? You know, you have a choice in that moment to go, you know, you could be crying, he could be inside crying and having a breakdown because he's not at work, or he can be like, wow, I'm able to spend time with my kids, you know, changing that focus to what's really good about this. You know, what can I find? Because as human beings, we don't like not having any control. I don't like there's nothing I can do. You know, I like it when people say there's nothing I can do except pray. Well, you know, prayer is powerful for starters, but what can you do? You know,
Yes.
you can enjoy your home, you can enjoy your family, you can enjoy, you know, and I have some clients who are single, and there's a different kind of struggle there, right? But what can they do? And they're telling me that they're reading, you know, that they're doing some soul work, you know, they're doing some journaling, or they're just kind of enjoying the silence. And some of them are doing a lot of Zoom parties, you know, whatever's working for them, you
Yeah.
know. So it's finding what can you do. I'm actually having a Zoom party with a group of women tonight, you know, because we're kind of an hour apart. And it's going to be fun. You know, is it the same as being together? No, but this is what it is right now, and this is what we can make of it. So
Yeah. It's so true. We can pretend that I'm on the beach, or I could pretend I'm in a dark hole. I choose the beach
yeah, I see that. I was loving that. I was like, well, the
in my
sweatshirt
sweatshirt.
going along with the beach attire here, but I love it. Pretending that you're here with me. It's fantastic.
So, what led you to coaching?
Oh gosh. Okay. So my coaching story, I've been a nurse for 21 years now. Um, And about 2012, I started feeling pretty poorly. I had a lot of miscellaneous problems going on, um, some gut health. I knew that I was having a lot of discomfort. I called them attacks. I didn't really know what else to call them, because anytime I tried to talk to the doctor about it, they were like, well, you know, it's IBS, you know, it's a very general term. You're this. I was having joint pain. My hair was coming out. I was starting to gain weight. I was breaking out in hives on a regular basis. And when it would happen for 3 nights in a row. And then it might not happen for a week or two. I had horrible brain fog to the to the point where my kids would say, I'd ask a question and they'd be like, we told you that already. And I'm like, and tell me again, please, right? Just tell me again. And it was frustrating to hear that, because I believed that was true, but I couldn't recall it. And I was exhausted. It didn't matter what time I went to bed or what time I got up. I was just chronically exhausted. And every time I would go to the doctor, they would basically say, oh, it's stress and fatigue. If you're in your 40s, everything is stress and fatigue, right? And I'm like, I really don't think so. And so basically, I had to be my own advocate. The last 6 months prior to my diagnosis, I got bronchitis 3 times in 6 months. I had never had bronchitis. And I'm like, something isn't right. And one of my dear friends, who is also a nurse, she's like, your body's attacking itself. And I was like, I didn't really want that to be true. So I went into the primary doc and I'm like, I want you to draw some specific lab works to let's figure out what's going on. And he actually told me very lovingly, I don't really think you need that. But he knew I was a nurse, of course. So he said, we'll go ahead and do that. I was like, yeah. Came back that I was positive for Sjogren's, which is an autoimmune disease, which most people think means you have dry eyes and dry mouth. Well, clearly, after my description, that is not at all what I had. I had all of these symptoms. So I think one of the things that's happened in mainstream medicine is we've kind of categorized certain autoimmune diseases with certain symptoms, and in reality, having a disease of the immune system is just that. It affects your entire immune system. So you have to get to the root of where all that starts, which of course now people are starting to become more aware, hearing about leaky gut and hearing about things like that. But the gut contains like 80% of our immune system. So it really does start with the gut. And what I'm finding with my clients is not just that, but a lot of people are coming to me, they're having the gut stuff, but they're also having the anxiety. Anxiety is really prevalent right now. And that is also coming from the gut. So it's been a pretty interesting connection. So I stepped outside of mainstream medicine and started seeing functional and integrative doctors and acupuncturists, just to really get to the core of what was going on. and finally got my antibodies to move. And I am happy to say that I have no symptoms. I feel amazing and I take no medication. And it's all been, yeah, through food and some lifestyle modification, really understanding what my personal non-negotiables were. Every person, one thing that I've really come to appreciate is that we are individuals, and there are some general concepts that work. But when I'm working with someone, I want to know what's working for you. Like this bio individuality is massive. It's not a one size fits all. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey, a long journey, but it's what led me to coaching so that I can help other people find hope, because there's a lot of people out there who are frustrated. They know something's not right. No one's really listened to them, and they just want to feel better. They just want to take their life back and feel good. So
Well, you helped me with that. That drew me to have some conversation with you because I struggled as well. Um, Again, I would go and they'd be like, nothing is wrong. All your levels are normal. And I had to do the same thing. So I loved just talking to you as a coach, but knowing that you were a nurse. So you were my coach for, we worked together for 6 months, and you've gone with me through the process of trying to figure out what's wrong with me as well, which I'm so thankful for. And I'd say maybe that's something I'm frustrated with right now, is I feel like I've kind of gone backwards because I'm at home, I'm eating stuff I normally wasn't,
yeah.
but I've just, it doesn't do any good to beat myself up. It's like, okay, today's a new day.
Yeah. Yeah, and comparing that, thank you for saying that, comparing that to what you would have done, say, a year ago, right? The mentality of giving yourself that grace of, okay, there's things are stressful, like being aware. Even I have done some emotional eating, and I'm like, okay, let's tune into that. Let's reel that in a little bit. Let's get back to our meditation. Let's get back to my minimum of 30 minutes of movement. And I literally mean movement. There's some days I really want to work out, and some days my body's just like, no, I just want to walk, or I just want to stretch. I'm not up for that. So learning to listen to your body and learning to be patient. It's like, okay, like I've said to you many times, what are you willing to do? And as I've watched your journey unfold, for those of you who don't know Wendy, what a transformation, not just in your body, but actually in your eyes and your face. When we match those pictures side by side of like a before and after,
Oh,
just the glow from the inside was just phenomenal. And not only that, but the way that you're talking to yourself, even right now, okay, so you're not being 100% on your food. That's okay. Like, where's the grace in that? And how can we lovingly get ourselves back on track? Right. And I saw you go through the holidays, with, the idea that we were going to give ourselves permission, to engage in certain activities or eat certain foods, and then just noticing how you felt afterwards, and your own beautiful awareness was, I gave myself permission to eat whatever I wanted and do everything I wanted to do. And your own awareness of, that didn't feel very good. I think I did that for Thanksgiving. I don't think I'm going to do that for Christmas. And how much more liberating it is to just experiment with you and your body and noticing without the judgment, taking off that judgment, just getting really curious, like what works for you as an individual. And I really want to applaud you, because you've done such a beautiful job with that. And the transformation that's not just gone from you personally, but all the way into your family,
yeah.
how it's affected, your whole entire household. So I congratulate you publicly for that,
Thank
the work
you.
that you did.
That's what I think is so great about coaching. While we were getting trained and going through training, we were coaching each other. And so I'm a living example that coaching, it works. I mean, I, if I look at who I was in September of 2017 and who I am now, it's
Huge transformations. Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. And I think that's an important note to make. Even though we were coaching each other as peers, you actually hired me as a
I
coach.
did.
You invested in yourself outside of the program.
Mhm.
And as well as I have done the same thing. And I think that the concept of, we can only take people as far as we're willing to go,
Yes.
believing in coaching. And I'm totally believe in coaching. That's why I personally have a coach myself right now,
Yep.
outside of the program. So outside of HCI has been a great experience, but it taught us the value of coaching and the value of investing in ourselves and what it does, not just for us, but for everyone around us. So,
Yeah. Well, we all uh, choose kind of an area we want to work in, but we aren't nailed down to that. I like to work with hairstylists. I did that for 24 years, so I know hairstylists. I understand them, but not everyone I work with are hairstylists. And I know you had an area that you wanted to focus on, but you don't necessarily just have those people too. So,
yeah, I'm passionate about the health world, right? As far as people really wanting to get their life back because their health has been affecting everything. But I have clients who come to me for all sorts of reasons, and I love it because how we do one thing is how we do everything. That's
yes.
a paradigm we use in coaching, and it's absolutely true. So, Wendy, you're mostly working now with business owners, is that right?
Well, I started out that I want to work with hairstylists because I know them, but I also ran my own business. So I also want to work with small business owners because a lot of times, especially if you're a small business, you don't really have that other person that you can confide in or get help from. It can be kind of lonely at the top, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, so I want to be able to help those people too.
yeah. And how do you best see yourself serving them in that capacity?
I would say a lot of it has been doing a lot of reframes, and you can explain, what reframes are, but especially now, so many of them are really struggling with all the paperwork they have to do now that they've had to put people on unemployment. They've just been overwhelmed with all the paperwork and the responsibilities of what to do for their employees and for their own business. So really just being in communication with them and reframing when their thoughts really start going to a negative place.
Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know that term, reframing, we use that a lot in coaching as a technique. And what it is, there's other ways to say it, right? Finding the silver lining, finding seeing the cup as half full instead of half empty. Because it kind of reminds me of that picture, and I think most of us have seen it. It's a picture of a woman, and depending on how you choose to let your eyes zoom in on the picture, she's either this beautiful young woman or she's this witchy looking woman. But
Yeah.
it's the picture, right? And that is a visual for what a reframe is. There's doesn't mean that witchy portion isn't there. The negative is still there, but what we focus on and what we put our attention on, it becomes bigger. So in the picture, and I think a lot of America has seen this, if you intentionally look for the beautiful woman, you'll see her. If you intentionally look for the dark, ugly witch, you're going to see her. And that is how life is. It's what we choose to focus on. What we appreciate appreciates. In other words, what we focus on, it just gets bigger. It becomes more clear. So that, along with really watching the words that you're speaking out of your mouth, that's another big message all
Yes.
on its own, right? And that was something you and I've talked a lot about is, what are you saying over your life? Words are powerful. We grew up with this idea that sticks and stones can break our bones, but words can't hurt us. That's a lie. Words do hurt us. And the words that hurt us the most are the words we speak on our own self, because you're with you more than anybody else is with you, right? So you believe yourself more than you believe anyone. So when you say something out loud, your ears hear it, it goes back and it becomes a part of who you are. So I just as a little infomercial here, I encourage everybody right now, really tune in, especially right now when things are a little bit crazy. What are you saying over your life? It's never going to be any different. It's horrible. This is the most awful thing. Or are you looking for the reframe? Are you looking for the beautiful woman in the picture? Because you will find her. She's there somewhere, right? So if you catch yourself saying something about yourself that's not good, that's not positive, that's not actually what you want. I actually tell my clients, imagine that you're going to Chick-fil-A and you're speaking into the speaker box and you order an unsweet tea. When you get to the window, there's not a Big Mac and a milkshake there, right? You ordered an unsweet tea. An unsweet tea is going to be there for you. The words that coming out of your mouth are just like speaking an order into the universe. So be careful what you're ordering. Do you want what you just said? And we say things when we're frustrated and when we're angry. That's where we really got to be, or we're discouraged, right? We can say a lot of negative things. So that's where we really got to tune in and go, is that really what I want? And if you hear yourself, go ahead and say something that you actually do want right after it. And sometimes those positive affirmations sound like a lie. That's okay. I always tell people, if I had an unsweet tea in the car, I wouldn't need to order one, right? I wouldn't need it. I wouldn't need to order it. So affirmations sometimes do sound like a lie. Think of them as an order to the universe.
Mm. Ooh, I love that. I I think I knew this before, but you really helped me understand it, just how much words matter. Really catching myself when I would use the word should
Mm, yeah, the
instead of
judgment. Hmm.
choose. So instead of saying, I should eat healthy today, I would say, I'm choosing to eat healthy today.
Yeah,
How
because the
much
word
better that
should,
feels.
yeah, because the word should is a judgment. It's an implication of a judgment, whereas I'm choosing is empowering, right?
Yes.
It's good.
Yes. And I love the joke about stop shooting all over yourself.
Yeah, quit it. It's not helping you or anyone else.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Yes. So what do you find that you've been doing on a daily basis that's helped you kind of be in that marathon mindset instead of the sprint?
Yeah.
Or what would you recommend?
Question. Well, for one thing, I had to catch, like I said, I had to catch myself. I had to catch myself. The first thing I did is limit the news. I have to limit the news. I want to be informed. I don't want to be saturated, right? The second thing is sticking with my non negotiables. For me, sleep is a definite non negotiable. The world likes me better when I sleep. That is a non negotiable. Getting in my water and the movement. Just walk, if all I do is walk for 30 minutes, that's really, really important in centering. I did add back my meditations last week because I had kind of gotten caught up in the flurry as well. And when I got caught up in all the anxiety that was going on around me, I kind of lost my routine. So having a routine is hugely important, especially during a time like this, so it makes people feel centered and grounded, and it keeps the panic and anxiety and depression at bay. So if you are out of work, find a new routine, find that groove for yourself. It might not be your normal, but it is normal for now. So for me, it was, and then just kind of cutting back on the sugar because chocolate is my comfort food. Yeah. And I was like, okay, just owning it, right? Just owning it, keeping it real. And I'm like, okay, we're still going to have it, but we're going to have it in a limited quantity. We're not just going to eat it at the drop. So just becoming aware, getting some of my routine back in place and,
Yes.
breathing into that.
The other cool thing about you is that you are also a dancer, ballroom dancer.
Swing dancer, yep. Wesley.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to see you and your husband in action on our cocktail night.
Yep, that's
Just
right.
cuts loose and dances. I'm so jealous. I never took dance. I do not have moves.
I don't know. I saw your video there on I think there were some pretty good moves going on. But yes. Yes, and it's interesting. I think that it's funny that you said that about dancing because it's a hobby that I always say that went rogue because we wound up teaching and a lot, So it's a hobby. We did it because we loved it, and then it became, like a side profession. And not being able to go out and dance, I think there's a renewed sense of appreciation for the things that we've kind of taken for granted. Dancing was just something we did every week, and finally last week, midweek, I said, let's dance, right in the living room. So we rolled back the coffee table and kind of just turned on the music. And I know that there's a lot of people missing their hobbies, but I think one of the reframes, if we will, is the greater appreciation. Whether it's you work out at the gym or, you know, you bowl, whatever your hobby is, that maybe you've taken it for granted. So it's almost like a forced time out. And then it's like the renewed love that you have for an activity. How much more beautiful will that be when we get to participate as a group again?
Yes. What was that song? Was it in the 80s? Don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was that Motley Crue? Oh, I'm embarrassing myself by now.
I don't know, but I know the song. I've never been good with the names. So yeah, no, I think that's just another opportunity, right? It's like enjoy what you can right now, and then the things that you miss will be there when we get back. So
Yes.
yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to put my sunglasses on, pretend I'm on the beach with you. And maybe that's what I need to do. I need to find a time that I can come visit you and actually be on a beach for real with you when
I would
all
love
this
that.
is over.
I would love that.
That would be awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at those waves.
I know that's the sad part right now is one of my self-care activities is that I normally walk the beach for about an hour and a half at least once a week. And I cannot go to the beach.
That's true. They closed the beaches, didn't they?
They did. So my positive ions are missing. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to being able to get back there.
Yes.
So,
Thank you so much, not only for today, but for everything you have done for me. I can never thank you enough.
it has been my absolute pleasure and privilege. You are an amazing person, and I really do look forward to seeing you in person again.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Stay safe, and
Thank
we
you.
shall talk soon, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.